I'm Nicole Matthews, corporate America dropout turned entrepreneur and owner of the Henley Company, an event, travel, and lifestyle management firm. It wasn't that long ago that I was dreading my drive to my fancy corporate job each day or felt disenfranchised with the work I was doing. In 2007, I jumped off the corporate escalator and directly into the elevator of opportunity. Today, I'm an author, speaker, educator, and serial asker. I wholeheartedly believe that your life changes when you start creating your own opportunities and making big asks. Hands down, the business and life I have today is 100% the product of giving myself permission to design the life I want to live. It was always my dream to work at the Olympics, and by making a big ask, that dream became a reality. I now have multiple Olympic projects to add to my life resume. I created the Big Ask podcast to share these best practices with you. Whether you're an entrepreneur hungry for revenue-generating tips or an individual restless to make a significant change, the life you want to live could be just one big ask away. Get ready to be entertained by real-life stories, no-filter conversations, and inspired by the daily hustle. So let's get started. This is the Big Ask Podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Big Ask Podcast. I'm Nicole Matthews, and I'm looking forward to a dynamic and exciting conversation today with a colleague of mine from Baltimore, Maryland, Heidi Hiller, who's creative director and owner of Innovative Party Planners, a live hybrid and virtual event planning firm. Heidi recently earned a certificate in virtual event management and has begun transforming live events into online event experiences with a focus on creating engagement and community. She also is the co-founder of Mitzvah Pros, a network of event professionals serving the bar and bat mitzvah industry. And I know most importantly, she wants to talk today about celebration and how we continue to celebrate and, be in wonderful events, even in this time of COVID. So Heidi, thanks so much for being a guest on the Big Ask Podcast.
Thank you, Nicole. It's been great talking to you before we hit record.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So I always like to start with just give us a little bit of background on Heidi through the years, if we will, and where you started and where you are today.
Sure. So my background is actually very much focused in art. I have a bachelor's of fine arts from a long time ago. And I started out way before even college, like always drawing. And, I volunteered to decorate events and volunteered to do the ads for things. And, I was always focused on events and event marketing and, all of that. And it just became my career. I quickly breezed through the advertising world for a few years and then found my way into environmental graphic design, which is designing sign systems and structures for campuses, so
Oh,
three-dimensional design.
interesting. Yeah, interesting. Very,
And I
very
did that
interesting.
for a while. And then, I played mommy for a while. I sold Discovery toys. I did, all the things you're supposed to do each child I had. So I had three little businesses along the way. And then really with the third child, when I was home, um, I started an event design business. Like, why not? So I had a friend, and she was piddling with it, and I somehow got asked to design decor for an event, and I went to
Uh-huh.
her for help, and I went to another friend of ours who owned a catering company. We were all bowling together because that's what moms
Okay.
do when they're not working. That wasn't for a long time. And they, gave me some guidance. And then, well, I have a project. Can you help me? And one thing led to another. And I like to say I moved my little art supplies into my friend Ozzy's basement. And for 5 years, we took over her house. By the time we moved out, we realized we really need a warehouse. Like, this is working.
Yeah, right.
Um, and I had a lot of business knowledge. I grew up as the daughter of a business owner. So you hear the back struggles, you hear the stories, and I also married an attorney. So I think I had a lot of support,
Yeah,
both, emotionally and knowledgeable to start a
yeah,
business.
yeah.
And 24 years later, come
Oh
December.
my gosh.
Yeah,
Good for you. That's awesome.
it's been crazy. I will say we've had a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here to talk to
Yes.
you.
I love it. That's good. That's awesome. So, what give us a little something that might surprise us about you. So, not knowing you all too well, what do I not know about you that might surprise me?
I cut my hair this morning. I'm
So, you're a
talented
woman
with
of
the scissors.
many talents. Yes.
Yeah, I mean
Yes.
that took a lot of balls to know I'm going on a viewing
Yeah.
interview. Yeah, my hair was so long.
Oh my
I just
gosh.
and what did I use? I used a nail scissor.
Nail
I
scissors.
am courageous.
You are. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, I think you've done a wonderful job. If had you not mentioned to me that you had just done that, I wouldn't have been the wiser.
Well,
So,
I took advantage of COVID and I grew out my hair.
okay.
And it was like it had little black ends. It's time to let the gray grow in.
Yes.
My age, I think people would be surprised about my age too. Been
Yeah.
around a long time.
I've been around a long time. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So, um, so your career trajectory eventually gets you into the event business. And so what do you think has been the hardest part about owning an event company?
I think it's growing smart because there's so
Mm-hmm.
many parts and moving pieces to it. And as you grow and you take on more responsibility working an event, you need different talent and different skill sets. And you
Mm-hmm.
yourself are not going to supply them all. And
Right.
it's in really hiring the right people to continue helping you shape it the way you thought you should shape it, and yet allowing them to help you shape it. So
Mm-hmm.
throughout the years, we've had, a lot of people have come and gone. Um, and, it's been dynamic watching the contribution people have made along the way and how it's
Mm-hmm.
shaped us.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard. I mean, events are all about details coming together at the right moment. And so
Yep.
communication, as your staff grows and getting that
Mm-hmm.
through to everybody, systems of
Yep.
communication. And I started out before computers. So, you're handwriting out everything. Although
Yes.
Zazie did have an Apple in her basement and I learned how to use it very quickly.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I joke, I'm thinking back to some of our vendors like longhand. Oh wait, I
Yeah.
have to rewrite that bill. I'm like, no, just like, you know.
So you
Um,
started your business with a partner,
yes,
correct? Okay.
yes,
And then eventually you bought your partner out. Is that
I did.
correct? Okay.
She hit my age before me and was a grandma and decided, like, why not? She had the luxury to take time
Mm-hmm.
away and spend it with her grandchildren. So she made a decision to retire, and the business was missing her because she came back. She came back after like 4 years of retirement.
Okay.
The
Okay.
kids started going back to school and stuff, and she came back part
Sure.
time. Although now with the pandemic and where the business is going, um, it's she has said, technology is not something this is
Mm-hmm.
all new. Everything we're doing really is new. And
Right.
at her point, and I agree with her, it's a lot of new things to learn. And she's
Yeah.
like, I don't need to.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
So do you when you were making that decision to have a partner, I mean, you hear these amazing stories about partnerships and then you hear these disastrous stories about partnerships. So looking back, would you have moved forward with having a partner in your business when you first started? Was that the
absolutely.
key to your success?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew nothing. And she was already involved in the world of events. Although, as I learned as we went on, we had a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And we did it together, and we had strengths that complemented each other. And,
Hmm.
but I won't say it wasn't, we had our struggles. I mean, I don't know
Sure.
a partnership that doesn't, let's be honest.
Right. Right.
And I think by the time, she was ready to move on, it just was that in our business. It was time
Yeah.
for that.
And then how did you
Because
divide up areas of responsibility?
I'm sorry, say that again.
How did you divide up areas of
So,
responsibility?
so in the beginning, she was managing the client. She was, the salesperson, really good at it. And um, I was kind of like the engineering person, like always coming up with like how we're going to make something. And we both had
Mm-hmm.
the art talent, so we would both make it happen. And then, when we moved into the warehouse we're in, she was in the office and I ran the art department. And that's how we had it. So she would always meet with the clients and I wouldn't.
Okay.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think the hardest part for me when she left was I now needed to meet with the clients. And
Interesting.
now I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. But I think it's important that there's a division of labor, because sometimes when partnerships, it's, if we're both great at the numbers, but nobody's great at the marketing, then it's going to fail.
right.
It won't
Right.
be
And
as
I did the
successful.
advertising and marketing because of my background, the
Uh-huh.
branding of our business and the placement of the ads and all of the social media. When social media became something to do, that was like, I
Right.
love all that.
Yeah.
So I took that on. And like I said, we complemented each other with what we
Sure.
did.
Sure. Great.
You
And so
know,
how have you had to shift because of the pandemic?
um, wow, a lot of shifting. Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, we had to can't everything we had planned at week right that week even.
Yeah.
um, Early on, because of the industry that we're focused in, about 40% is social. An event occurs for a reason. You're
Hmm.
getting married, you're becoming a bar or bat mitzvah, you're celebrating a life cycle event. There's a reason, there's a
Hmm.
birthday, there's
Hmm.
something. So when the pandemic came, you're still gonna have the wedding. No, we're not getting married. You're still gonna have the bar. No, we're not getting bar mitzvah. Like everything was just like sort of ground to a halt. And like, well, now what do we do?
Hmm.
And I really quickly took in the landscape and thought, I don't think this is just for a couple months.
Hmm.
Yes, sure, we'll postpone your event till the end of August. Sure, we'll postpone your event to July. But in my mind, I was thinking,
Yeah.
what's different today that's going to be like
Hmm.
what's going to change
Hmm.
in July? If
Hmm.
I'm really reading, and I was reading everything, the physicians were saying, the doctors were saying, I was looking at your, in Asia Pacific to see what was going on because they were already
Hmm.
months ahead of us.
Hmm.
And it doesn't look like things are reopening so fast.
Hmm.
So I kind of like did an outline thinking, okay, this is going to affect not just me and my business and the
Hmm.
people we service, but the entire industry. And how there's got to be a way to, we can't postpone things forever,
Right.
And so I started looking at online events as an option for bringing together community. And what I learned very quickly was corporate events can do it, but not social. There was no roadmap there. So I quickly thought, we're going to have to come up with something
Hmm.
because why we can't just put the world on hold.
Right.
And we need to look forward to things. Part of the hardest part, I think, is we put off vacations.
Hmm.
So, planning a vacation, is a
Yes.
lot of fun, right?
Hmm.
Half of what we do between events and trips and vacations, more than half, we spend hours planning.
Hmm.
We spend more time planning than the event and the trip itself.
Yeah. So true.
It's true.
Yes, so true.
But how much fun is it?
Hmm.
Discovering a place that you look forward to going to. And it's no different with planning an event. We're creating that environment, we're creating the guest experience. So we not only lost celebrating, but we lost creativity, we lost having things to look forward to.
Hmm.
we lost building community. We lost experiencing joy. We were all grieving.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we've got to figure out how to get through this. This is not going away. How
Mm-hmm.
can we celebrate? How can we bring joy? And unfortunately, a lot of the clients were like, well, if I can't have it the way it
Mm-hmm.
was, I don't want it. So
Yeah.
we went from postpone, postpone, postpone to I'm just canceling. And it was like, well, wait a minute. Like, you can't not get married. Oh, no, we're going to go to the courthouse. Well, your child can't not become a bar mitzvah. I mean, they wake up the morning of their 13th or 12th birthday. They automatically are, you can't not celebrate it.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this through wars.
Yeah.
We've done this throughout Jewish history. This is not, a pandemic can't stop us.
Yeah.
So, this other thing that I'm a co-founder of, the Mitzvah Pros, a couple weeks in, I called up my co-founder, another partnership I have
Yeah.
with my co-founder, Bryn, and she was Iraq. I mean, we were all Iraq. And I said, we need to meet. We need to have our group meet. We need to figure this out. There's got to be a solution. We're
Yep.
all brilliant people. We all have businesses that are dying.
Mm-hmm.
So we started meeting once a week. And I felt like a grief counselor
Yeah.
and a
So
therapist.
true. So
And
true.
I spent much of the week getting ready for that presentation. So here I was doing what we all were missing, which was looking forward to something
Yeah.
and sharing and caring.
Mm-hmm.
And that was therapeutic for me in the beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
it probably for the first like couple months, I like invested my heart and soul into, we're going to do an educational part to this meeting, and then we're going to come up with ways that we want everybody to brainstorm and break out. And I wanted people to leave inspired and motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such an amazing feeling to watch it happen, where we're at the point now where we can't meet weekly because everybody's busy.
Yeah, that's great.
And, I was like, I'm gonna, someone's got to start rolling the ball so it grows and it
Mm-hmm.
gets bigger and the
Yep.
momentum comes. And we just have to keep putting the word out there. We all need to put the word out there.
Yeah.
And, so when your client calls and says, I'm canceling, well, we have some other thoughts. Are you open to listening?
Mm-hmm.
And so through that, we've been doing some online celebrating,
Yeah.
which is
That's
pretty weird, but it's working.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. So what elements are you translating into the virtual world? Let's take a bar bat mitzvah. So
Well, so
so
the
if I'm a family that's saying, we're just going to cancel, and you come back to me and say, nope, let's think about something else. So what is that dialogue like with that client?
it depends on the client. We are all very different in our reactions right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where are they in the process of grieving? Where, what kind of personality do they have is going to really play into it. So I have to be
Mm-hmm.
super careful because I don't necessarily know them very well. The other part of that is financial. We don't know. All of us are going through,
Mm-hmm.
people have lost their jobs, people are on
Mm-hmm.
unemployment. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's happening with their family if someone's been sick. So the first thing you really need to do is kind of hear all of that,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think it's a one size fits all answer. I think
Mm-hmm.
it really does depend
Yeah.
on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so once we kind of hear what's going on and then maybe offer some suggestions of things we could do, whether it's inexpensive because that's what we need to do, or it's, grandma and grandpa live overseas and they're not coming, or, we ourselves have, are high risk,
Mm-hmm.
we need to know all this.
Yeah.
So just like normal, there's no one size fits all to end the
Mm-hmm.
celebration. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes it fun for us, because then I don't look at those as obstacles. I look at them as challenges. But what
Sure.
can we do to create something safe,
Mm-hmm.
affordable, that involves their families and community? So we've done all kinds of things. Um, But I mean, there's still people who don't want to, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
force them.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think when people get into the social event world, they don't realize how much of that sort of psychology and sociology, those skills are so important, because oftentimes it's the managing of family dynamics, or it's just sort of, listening. As you said, we sort of just start by listening of what, where is our client, what's currently happening, in their life. And so I think that skill is so important for people. Particularly, it happens on the corporate side for sure as well, but I think on the social side, because there's so much pressure about this one particular day, a wedding, a bar bat mitzvah, an anniversary party. It's like you can't redo those things, so that listening skill side is so important, for anybody who's really focusing on the social event side of the business.
Yeah, I mean, when we're done the event, there's a hole in my heart because I feel like we've gotten
Yeah.
close because
Yeah.
we've understood and we're one of their support systems now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like miss my clients after that.
Yeah. It's true.
And we touch base every now and then. I
Uh-huh.
try, you know,
Yeah.
but no, I mean they're all different. The very first bar mitzvah that we did was in June, and they did it on a huge farm. So they were able to have people that were local, very much distanced out on the farm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had people online as far away as Israel.
Oh, amazing.
And it was so cool to put it together for them,
Hmm.
and what they were very like one of the one of the things we do is we send out, sort of like directions. Not
Yeah.
everyone's been on a Zoom call, if you can believe it
Right.
or not. So,
Right.
we have to kind of write our directions with that in mind. Uh,
Yes.
but we also talk about like, what do you wear? And because, we've done weddings where people have dressed up and, they're part of the ceremony. They might be
Yeah.
coming on screen and actually giving, a message to the bride and
Sure.
groom or the
Sure.
family. So they want to look nice.
Yeah.
And, so I still remember this first one because we're developing our materials back then, like
Hmm.
how we should be helping
Hmm.
you through this. It's not like a live event was.
Right.
And we got to attire, and I remember talking to the dad, and he's like, they don't need any shoes on. They don't need, So it's our big joke now because, quite honestly, I cannot tell you how many fun pictures I've seen where they're like all dressed up and look really nice.
Yeah.
Look at their feet.
Right. 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 Exactly. That's so true. Oh my gosh. That's so true.
And they have on shorts.
Right as I sit here with no shoes on, actually, while I'm talking to you. Yes, the
Yes.
curse. I know, guilty, definitely
But would you
guilty.
show up if you and I were sitting out? No.
Never, my gosh, never,
Like, what's
never,
that going to do
never.
to the future?
Right.
We wonder.
Exactly. Um so you started the Mitzvah Pros, and was that because you felt like that particular niche wasn't getting the support that it needed, or what was your motivation
Well,
for
so we go
starting
back
that?
6 years, and Bryn was new to the business. She was had made a decision she wanted to be a focused bar and bat mitzvah event planner. And she's
Okay.
in Northern Virginia, and she was looking for a mentor because, like, you don't just open your doors and start. You need
Yeah.
connections and you need to sort of understand what's happening. So she found her way all the way up to Baltimore to me after getting rejected.
Oh,
And I've mentored lots of people and I've been mentored. So I think it's a
yeah.
lovely way to behave in our worlds. So she and I started, just talking and whatever I could do to help. And she started a Facebook page called Mitzvah Professionals, as she says, in a selfish effort to meet people.
Yeah.
But she and I started talking like there really wasn't anything. I mean, there are mitzvah marketing focused places where,
Mhm.
as a vendor, I might go and list my services and a
Okay.
client could find me and
Hmm.
they're educating the clients. But we couldn't find a place, really, where we're educating the businesses. And you'll see
Hmm.
that for corporate. you'll see all these associations.
Right.
You'll see that for weddings, but we really didn't find it. And bar and bat mitzvahs is a big industry and it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I often would get calls throughout the years from venues. How can we get the bar and bat mitzvah business? Or a vendor? How do I break into this? So it was
Yeah.
certainly
Mm-hmm.
a niche market that was needed. So as she and I, she asked me to help administer the page on Facebook, and then we had an ask like, well, can we all meet together? Like Facebook's great, but let's have a meeting. So our first meeting was about 4 years ago at my studio, and we tried to meet like 3, 4 times a year, and I mean, we had meetings at different vendors in the Baltimore, Northern Virginia, and DC area, big hotels, new up and coming venues that wanted to get on the map as a bar and bat mitzvah place. We were
Mm-hmm.
becoming recognized. It really was a neat thing. And then when the pandemic hit, we took that as an opportunity to meet online, and our
Mm-hmm.
membership's really grown. We're close to a
Great.
thousand members now.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
And we're,
That's incredible.
through doing a conversation like this, or we were on All
Mm-hmm.
Seated last week. We did a
Mm-hmm.
webinar focused to the bar and bat mitzvah industry, um,
Yeah.
with photos from all our members, showing what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
We're gaining ground, and we've had people come from all over the world to our meetups
That's
online.
amazing. Good for you. And it just speaks to that importance of continuing education and community, right? Because on one point you could say, well, why would you want to be in an organization where everybody's your competitor? You're all competing for the same business, but it just helps to escalate the entire industry if you're all working towards best practices and ethical standards, and and you can share business when it's appropriate. We started our conversation this morning about you saying, somebody had to pass off a piece of business because it was bigger than what they were feeling comfortable with. And that's where those relationships, that's where that trust gets developed, is in those professional organizations.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think during this time, a lot of us had to strip our staffs down pretty
Mm-hmm.
thin. And I've seen a lot more collaboration amongst the industry,
Yeah.
because when a job comes in, it is bigger than they can handle right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's recognized that, it's a whole team effort now,
Yeah.
or even to shape what's happening, to help, people continue to celebrate. I felt
Mm-hmm.
that that was a huge topic,
Yeah.
aside from how do we not give back all these deposits? We don't have the money.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, just
Right.
a lot of common, we have a lot of common concerns. And it
Mm-hmm.
was a place to find understanding,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
we would, I mean, the things people were telling us, like, we miss Mondays, but
Mhm.
again, as people have gotten busier, it's just really, I didn't make this week's meeting.
For good reason, I'm sure, because you were
I
busy
was
doing something
working.
else. Yes, and that's always a good thing, right? That's always a
Right.
good thing. So,
You know.
so what best practices can you share for young professionals looking to start their own business, and particularly in this climate? I mean, our conversation a year ago would have been, probably a bit of a different answer than perhaps today. But, what is your best advice for somebody who is looking to get into the industry kind of in this moment?
I think, I used to say start as a front desk clerk at the hotel. Can't say that
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I think that you can start by doing community events. You
Mm-hmm.
can start by volunteering. I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of need in the nonprofit community, and that's how I
Mm-hmm.
started. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that should ever, I think it was a great way to start,
Right.
because it taught me a lot about working and compromising with groups, working with no money,
Yeah. Right.
and just being creative. And
Mm-hmm.
I would, the need's bigger now.
Mm-hmm.
And anything is an event that,
Yeah.
any reason to bring community together with a shared message.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
now, doing them online has been not 100% just as satisfying, but it's certainly been very satisfying
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
do.
definitely. Definitely. It's
So
just a
I think
different,
that
it
would be
feels like
how
a
I would
different
do it.
climate. Yeah, it feels like such a different climate for the virtual events. I mean, there's no less production, there's no less detail, there's no less, creativity, or I should say there shouldn't be any of, those things. And even if you're managing from a production studio instead of a hotel ballroom, there's still a ton of details and logistics and
Well, and it's a
creativity that
little
has to go into
harder.
that.
You're
Hmm.
not in the same room, and yet you're
Right.
managing the same event with a team all over. So,
Hmm.
what we have to establish a really good back channel line of communication during the
Right.
event,
Right.
as we have to troubleshoot just like we do at a live event.
Hmm.
And you have to know who on your team is the person to go to help you in that moment.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
that's all the same. And it's not a one person show.
Yeah.
There's
Exactly.
a lot of people behind the scenes.
Yep.
The more speakers, the
Yep.
more people, the
Yep.
more pre-recorded or live,
Hmm.
whatever, all of the stuff. There's just,
Yep.
I work with different teams. I'm not renting linen, and I'm not, you know, I don't need to know the size of tables, but I certainly need to know technology now.
Hmm.
Or,
Hmm.
so how long is that video? At what point in your script would you like us to pull up that?
Yep.
Like we have to, we're writing TV broadcast scripts
Yep.
now.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Having just come off of a massive project where it did feel like that. It did feel more of like production, broadcast production than event production, really, which is very, very interesting. I read in an article about you that you charge by the hour versus a flat fee. And I know we get this a lot as business owners, especially with new people coming into the industry. Like, how do I charge? And what do I charge? And so, how did you decide the hourly versus the flat fee? Because most in the industry tend to lean more towards the flat fee. So why are you sticking with the hourly, and what do you find that benefits you by doing that?
So ironically, I have backed away from it a little bit right now,
Yeah.
but I
Hmm.
still get to my rate based on my hourly rate times how much time I think it's going to take. The
Hmm.
biggest difference now is I'm not every event. Weddings, I'm still charging by the hour.
Hmm.
Social events that are live, I'm still charging by the hour. It's these online events that I'm charging a little bit differently, where
Hmm.
we've kind of come up with the formula of how long it takes us to do things. And we know how many parts and pieces, and they're they're not all the same, but they're the same.
Yeah.
There's no
Hmm.
venue. The venue's been Zoom for most of them, and we
Uh-huh.
know it well. We're not loading in and loading out,
Right. Right.
So in that respect, we figured out, it's 6 hours no matter what for us to put together a Zoom service. And
Hmm.
people think we're crazy, but I got one right now that's taking much longer. But on
Yeah.
average, that's what it's been. And I just felt like, it's I can't nickel and dime people, and that's somewhat what it feels like when you're charging by the hour,
Hmm.
but that's really not what it is.
Yeah.
So I am trying to stick with that, but we do have add-ons. Like you can,
Hmm.
if you want to go beyond the normal base package. And it's funny because I'm talking to other people who are starting to charge by the hour now.
Yeah.
And I felt funny doing it in the beginning with online because I felt like we were learning. And so
Hmm.
I can't charge a client. Like, at what point am I not learning and I'm actually productive? I
Right.
didn't know.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Now I'm getting back to, okay, this is productive time. So, in fairness to my clients and myself, we'll probably head back there. But, you know, a lot of times I don't, when you start planning about 2 years out, I don't know if clients realize that they talk to you a multitude of hours every week for 2 years. How
Hmm.
much time that is.
Yep. Yep.
So
Exactly.
that's just a little reminder of the fact that we're not on 24/7 call, that there
Yes.
is a boundary, that we call me when you really need me.
Yeah. Right.
Save it all up for that one meeting we're going to have every three
Hmm.
months or whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think and I see people with packages who do it that way. Like,
Yeah.
this package includes this meeting, this site visit, and that.
Yep.
Done.
Right.
It's like
Exactly.
you have to set your boundaries. And I think
You
that's what the hourly rate's about.
Yeah, you definitely do, because otherwise it is the boundaries do get blurred. And then you've got, especially on the social side, you might have a bride, let's say, who's, as soon as she thinks about it, she wants to put it in an email or call you. And because it's, emergency for her, and you're like, That's not an emergency," just choosing between fuchsia and Barbie pink is not an emergency, but she
No.
needs to talk all through that. And I had heard somebody speak once, a really high end planner, and he said, "You've got to just schedule an appointment. So every time that email comes in, you say to her, 'Great, I'm gonna file this for when we have our meeting on Tuesday at 10 a.m. and I'm gonna make sure I add this to our agenda so we can talk about it,' because you have
Correct.
to start training the clients to treat you like how you want them to treat you, right? And if
Correct.
you allow that to be an open floodgates, she can call you whenever wants to call you, and you're going to respond, she's going to get in the habit of that. And so
That's
it's
why I bill
really
by the
important.
hour.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and maybe your attorney husband is kind of rubbed off on you with the billable hour. There's something to be said about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get texts in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
Exactly.
yeah, I don't write them all down, but no, I mean, and it's funny you say that because, like, I have some corporate clients right now where it's like, every month we are going to meet this day, this time until the
Yep.
project is done. And I prefer that
Yep.
over a zillion emails in between where
Right.
we really hammer everything out. And it gives me a deadline to be ready for rather than
Mm-hmm.
just an unexpected, like, I have
Right.
to do a 180 today because that was not on my
Yep.
radar so
Exactly.
that I can plan my
Exactly.
day out better.
Exactly. And I think that's what the gift of owning a business, for the longevity of a business. I think that's one of those lessons that at 22, had we started our businesses, we wouldn't have appreciated that. And now, decades into our businesses, it's like you start to value those boundaries, and how you'll let clients treat you. People always say, well, the client's always right. And it's like, well, but that doesn't mean that there can't be a boundary here. You still are a business owner. You still have, limitations on your time and energy as well. So just because they're under contract with you doesn't mean they get to sap every piece of your being out of you before that project
No,
gets
and
completed.
we always would say, it's like you want to treat that person when you're working with them like they're your only concern at that moment.
Exactly.
But if you don't set boundaries, then everyone will want to be
Yep.
that person that everyone,
Exactly.
um,
Exactly. Exactly.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, we want to have expectations. I mean, I write up a retainer agreement when we start a project, and I put a lot of time into the retainer agreement, and it outlines the scope of the project and what this is how you can communicate with us and
Mm-hmm.
get charged this way if you
Yep.
do, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
all outlined in there. But often I get, oh, I didn't read it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I spent hours
Exactly.
writing that.
Yeah. Right. I know. I know.
I look at it. I mean,
Sure.
this is within the project,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, right,
And
exactly. So what is your tool for what do you use for time tracking
we use QuickBooks.
for QuickBooks? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
It's easy.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. You got to have those tools. Even if it literally is like a notebook for each project and you're, handwriting that in, but you've got, because it's so
Right.
hard to be like at the end of the month going back and being like, how many times, or, so it's got to be
Right. Go
something
through
that
my
gets into your,
emails
yep.
and see that we emailed for 3 hours that day. Back and
Yes,
forth.
exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Right, exactly. So, in the spirit of the podcast being called The Big Ask, let's segue a little bit into your big ask. And have you ever had to make a big ask, either personally or professionally? And what was that process like for you?
So I'm thinking back to asking my husband out on our third date,
Okay.
or maybe it was
Yeah.
our second.
Oh, good. Okay. And
Yeah.
what,
Like, I don't, we're married 38 years. So I'm really not sure whether it was the second or third date.
yeah.
I think it was the second. But
Okay.
that's nervy. I'm not
Yeah.
that woman.
Okay. Okay. So what
And he
was the
said, yes.
process for that? What was the process for that? So you'd had date number one, you really seemed to like him. This all went really, really
Yeah,
well.
and the joke is I had to cancel like 4 other dates to go. For whatever reason, it was like the only semester in college that I decided, I was available for dating. I don't know.
Apparently. Okay. Okay, great. All right,
Yeah.
great. So
I don't know.
and,
That's
and
not like the big ask. It's just one
yeah.
that comes to my head. I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, I've had over the years, there's been things like having, when I think of the big ask, I think of something that you're really afraid and you
Mm-hmm.
think of all these things that could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then they don't. And I guess
Yeah.
over the years, I've learned to not make such a big deal out of something that I'm about
Mm-hmm.
to do because I've
Mm-hmm.
learned to be more of the mindset that it's going to go well.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I think that comes with maturity.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
was really no different than when the pandemic hit. And, well, one of the big asks was telling my landlord, help.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Good. Yeah.
I can't pay this rent.
Right.
That's a big ask. Don't kick
Mm-hmm.
me out. Can you work
Yeah.
with me to get us
Right.
through this? And it was fearless. I just like, this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
those are big asks. Anything
Yeah.
financial, you
Mm-hmm.
know, any life-changing moment, like asking somebody
Yeah.
out on a date or marrying them
Right.
or any of those, are big asks. But I think there's little things every day that we don't even think about anymore
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that
The,
really in perspective could be thought of as big,
sure. Mm-hmm.
life-changing.
Yeah, yeah. I love what you said about just maturity kind of gives you that wisdom of, where should you put your worry in life, right? And a lot of times we spend so much time worrying about what this thing is going to be, this I have to give a presentation, what will they think or what will happen if this happens or this happens and then, you go through it and you go, "Oh, that wasn't too bad." And so that enough of those life experiences starts to sort of strip away that worry, which is really important.
I
Yeah.
think so. I think that's what gives you the ability to move on forward
Yeah.
and do the
Mhm.
hard things
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
to also get others to believe in what you're doing. I look at what's going on
Mhm.
in the world right now and how many dynamic people there are out here
Mhm.
fighting for change and writing books and articulating so beautifully what we need to be saying right now. And
Mhm.
they're fearless.
Yeah.
And at such a difficult part time in our worlds,
Yeah.
it creates, how is it that some people have that
Uh-huh.
and others don't?
Right.
I don't know. I think of all of that, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. That's interesting.
crazy.
Yep, definitely. So have you talked a little bit about mentoring. I know you spent a lot of time mentoring others, but who has been an important mentor in your life?
Well, number one, my husband, who will tell me that I never listened to him until I asked 5 other people. And then when yeah, you were right, honey, everybody else agreed. But that's not true.
Yeah.
He and he really mentored me through like COVID, like
Mhm.
changes and how to navigate
Mhm.
kind of where to take my business. He was really instrumental in that
Yeah.
because every night it would be, so I found this. What do you think? Nope, nope, that's it. Like he was,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was hard. I mean, you got to fill out all this paperwork and all this stuff. There's also a gentleman down the street who owns a floral shop who, I've looked up to. They've been, and it's family business, third
Yeah.
generation, I think, or second. Yeah, third generation's in there now. And you find mentors throughout. When we took the business out of Sazi's basement and we moved into this studio space, we had a mentor
Mhm.
who taught us to think bigger
Mhm.
and taught us about selling and taught us about pricing and things. And I think, there's been people within my industry, just at different times, you go to different people and you seek advice and
Yep.
end up, it's funny because you end up mentoring each other.
Yes.
And it's a
That's so
really
true.
nice relationship. There's a trust there.
Yep. Yep.
And I
That's so
think,
true.
yeah, I think that that's important. I think we all
Hmm.
need that.
Yep, definitely. And I think as business owners too, we have to surround ourselves with other business owners. That's really important as well, because nobody really understands. If you've never been a business owner, no, it's very hard to understand what the pressures are and what the obligations are and where the stress is. And so just having someone else who's sort of walking that path, not necessarily in your shoes, but at least that path with you, I think is really important. To be able to pick up the phone and be like, even though you're on the other side of the country, Heidi, like, I have an issue, I have this going on. What do what does your experience tell you? And that's so important to create that community of people around you as
And
well.
that was why we did the Mitzvah Pros. I feel like we're
Uh-huh.
all mentoring each other.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Exactly.
really important that we be open and honest
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
we should be that way with our clients too.
Yeah, right.
And I've had
Right.
clients come to me to mentor them on other things, business related. It's a neat feeling.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely,
Yeah.
for sure. So what is your process like? How do you keep organized? Do you have a morning routine? What is sort of, I know, right? But
My
what
current morning
is,
routine is not fun because I have a very old dog. But
oh,
I really don't. I mean, I have to tell you, I work way too many hours a day. I know I do.
mm-hmm,
I pop out of bed, I'm working. I'm working
mm-hmm,
till I go to sleep. It's not healthy right now.
mm-hmm.
And I keep thinking I've got to get past this initial, like I've got to know that the ship is now sailing a little bit smoother
Right. Mm-hmm.
because I feel like all I've been doing is working on work.
Yeah.
And I would like to spend more time with my family, and I would like to spend more
Mm-hmm.
time just relaxing. Like last week I said, I promise I'll be home every night at 6 o'clock. Yeah, well, that lasted one night. What
Oh,
happened last
yeah.
night? What happened tonight? Just,
Yeah. Right.
we have clients all over the country now. So our 6 o'clock is their five, their three,
Yep.
and yet we have East Coast, so we start at 9, so that,
Yeah.
I don't have a routine. We eat dinner really late. I have the most amazing husband who cooks. He's gotten really good at it because I'm never home.
Yeah.
My kids do the food shopping.
Yeah. Excuse me as the trash truck goes by, right?
Right. I fold the laundry.
Okay.
um, I don't have a healthy routine.
Yeah. And that's not an uncommon statement from people who are, again, running businesses, because you're being pulled in so many different directions and trying to give to so many other people. And oftentimes our own health and wellness is sacrificed for that. So yeah. So I wish you good time to find that space in your day
Thank you.
to take care of yourself as well, for sure,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
just have
So
learning to say no.
yes, I know. I know. Gosh, that the smallest word, right? The shortest word, and it has the most power because we don't use it, as much as
We do
we,
not. I
yeah, as
use it
much
a
as we
lot.
would.
No, I just have to use.
Yeah. So, when was the last time? I know you mentioned asking for help with your landlord, but when was the last time you think you had to ask for help?
I'm trying to think. I always ask for help. Can you take that off the shelf for me? When I asked Julie if she could climb in the truck on Saturday because I couldn't climb it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
No, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not
exactly.
afraid to ask for help.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's an important trait. So, what are you currently working on that excites you?
Um, we have an event on Saturday night. Is the first time we're using this really fun platform.
Okay.
And I'm excited to see what happens because we want to try to push the boundaries a little bit on when you think of celebrating and it's online, it's not Zoom. So
Uh-huh.
we're headed into an arcade on Saturday night,
Oh, that's
an arcade
fun.
platform. Actually, from when we all met, I met you,
Uh-huh.
Liz, and
Yeah.
Nicole. one of the vendors involved in the Age of Conversation had the arcade at the conference.
Oh,
And
fun.
I went in there, and Gary and I have been friends ever since. And I'm like, Gary,
That's
we've got to do this.
fantastic.
Do this
Yeah.
platform.
Hmm.
So I'm
There's a,
excited about that.
yeah, that's awesome. I think there is a ton of opportunity for platforms right now because we have been, and Zoom is a tremendous tool. And so no knock on Zoom, but it doesn't bring in the creative elements that we are necessarily looking for, like a arcade or, some sort of, virtual experience where people can actually be in a space without being in the space. So I think there's a huge opportunity for companies who are looking to really grow that space
There's a new
because
platform coming about every day.
yep, exactly. So great. So last question I always like to ask people is what causes are you involved in that are close to your heart? Do you have any outside organizations that you
Oh,
support?
absolutely. So one is I've been on the board of a place called the Pearlstone Center, which is about 20 minutes north of where I am in Baltimore County. And it is a Jewish retreat center with an organic farm,
Oh,
and also with the idea of education and promoting um, environmental, good habits, and just all around. Like I go down there, or I go up there, or I go down the driveway, and just like my whole, just this calmness comes over me, and
nice.
everything they do has such a meaning. And I worry about them because, like every
Yep.
hotel and venue
Yep.
and thing,
Yep.
we've all seen some
Exactly.
tough numbers and drastic cuts in our budgets and things. And I helped them celebrate 18 years last year, which was just an amazing celebration.
Oh, that's
And
great.
the community that's there, they have so many creative and so many like passionate people working there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's been amazing. Politics 24/7, don't even get me started. Um, mental
Yes, I
health,
think we're all,
mental
yes.
health is another big push. There's certain, a lot of people come to you to help with nonprofit events. So there's
Mm-hmm.
certain things
Mm-hmm.
that are near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Anything with animals. I've only had rescue animals. Um, and, I just making this world a better place. I mean, we're
Yeah.
all the same.
Yeah.
We're
Good for you.
people.
That's great. Well, you definitely have a lot of balls in the air, I can tell. And the what I gather from our conversation is that you still are having fun with the work that you're doing, and you still are challenged by it, and you're still inspired by it. And that's such a great gift. Even, as you celebrate, milestones of owning a business, that's great that you still have curiosity, and what a tremendous gift that
My,
is.
you know, I, I told my kids many years ago, you go to school to learn how to learn.
Uh-huh.
I was never one who memorized facts. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was stupid. I want to learn processes, and I want to learn how a process can take me where I needed to go.
Right.
And there's no end to the road. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, what I've been telling everybody now is we are paving brand new roads.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we're as fast as we're paving them, the clients are right behind us demanding.
Yes.
We don't even know where we're going.
Right, exactly. And
Going.
that's
And
what's
it's so cool. I'm
yeah,
not going alone. I have a lot of people with me, and
right.
it's just exciting. It's
Yeah,
adventurous.
it is. It is. And there's going to be a whole, the generations that come after us, where well, like you started with, I started my business before I had a computer and, so that evolution, right? And then this will be, I think, another one of those defining moments where we're going to say like, you don't understand, like we had to do these weddings by Zoom and, in generations from now, it'll be like, they'll be, like literally standing in the space with those people, but, in their own
But
living room.
not.
So but not exactly. So I
Right.
think it'll be fun
I've
to
done
see
that. I've
where,
done that. The Zoom
yeah,
wedding.
yeah. So to see where it all takes us versus like people just had to look at the screen versus they were actually in the screen somehow or,
Yeah, and
where it goes.
I've got a conversation going with somebody right now, and he's like, "No, but I mean, really hybrid, like really like everybody's able to talk to each other, and And like, it didn't matter where you are. And
Yeah.
I'm like, Okay, yes.
Yeah. Right.
People are
Exactly.
going to
So
push
much
us
fun.
to these
Yep.
places.
And that's the fun piece. And that, again, I
Yeah.
can't encourage curiosity enough, because if you aren't being curious about what's happening with tools and technology and, environment, you're really missing the boat. I
See,
definitely
that's my
agree.
problem. I go down rabbit holes
Yes.
because of my curiosity. So I might get an
Uh-huh.
email and I might go, wow, that's interesting. And I'll go there. It'll lead me there. And before I know it, 3 hours pass. So it's not all work.
Exactly. I know. I know. My gosh. Good, good, good. Okay. So we always end every podcast with our rapid responses. And so rapid
Ready?
fire questions. And these, again, no judgment. First thing that comes to your mind, intended to be lots of fun. Okay. So
Okay.
first one is title of your lifetime movie.
Oh, wow. I don't know. Five for life.
Okay. If you could change places with any celebrity right this moment, who would it be?
So here's a true confession. I don't know celebrity names.
Okay. So anyone that's famous. So it could be a politician, could be the
Oh my gosh.
queen.
I think Camilla Harris. There you go.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. When do you feel happiest?
Um, Honestly, when I'm with my family and we're all laughing.
Yeah, that's great. If you were running for politics, what would be your biggest campaign promise?
Whew. Um, what would be my biggest campaign See, promise and getting it true. I know these are
Yeah.
rapid fire, but I
Yeah.
can't think that fast. Oh my gosh. We would no longer execute criminals.
Okay, great. Ultimate dinner party, which four guests do you invite and why? Real, um,
Real
Hollywood,
people.
real people, fake
There's the
people, cartoon
celebrities. I
characters.
want Michelle Obama. She's totally one of them.
Okay.
Julie's cheering. I might have to
Yes.
have her at my table.
Yes.
Um, Art RGB. That's
Okay. Yep. Yep.
trying to think. There's I, some other dynamic woman leader. Let's think. Julie, give me a help. No, we'll put Camilla at the table with us.
Okay, perfect. I like it. Okay, good, good,
Yeah,
good.
she's.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. So right this minute, you have to get a tattoo. What do you get and why?
Never thought about that before. So truth. I would probably do like I've got a tattoo. I have
Yeah.
eyeliner tattoo.
Perfect. No one has ever answered the question that way before. That is legendary right there.
So
Good for
that's my
you.
answer. I would just fix it.
Okay, perfect. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Biggest pet peeve in business.
The client is always right.
Yes. Exactly. Not always right. Okay. What is your wish for the next generation?
World peace.
Yep, definitely. When does your light shine the brightest?
When I feel like when I'm teaching other people, when
Great.
I have the opportunity to like share knowledge that
Yep.
I've gained.
Great. Great. And then what is your big ask, either personal and professional, right this moment? And how can we help you?
Send me business so I can grow the passion and joy that we really need right now and
Yeah,
spread it around.
that's awesome.
I mean that if I could get rid of depression and anxiety, mental health is in the toilet right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we just
Mm-hmm.
need to look forward to good things. And that's what I do for a living. Maybe that's why I'm happy.
Yeah, that's
But I
great.
want to be able to bring that to more people.
Yeah,
Nonprofits, help raise money, all of that.
good. That's awesome. Well,
Don't
great.
stop just because we're in a pandemic.
Exactly. Exactly. Joy didn't get parked at the door. Joy isn't quarantined, right? Hope
Mm-mm.
isn't quarantined, all
Nope.
those things. Yep. So great. That's awesome. Well, Heidi, thank you so much for saying yes when I asked you to be a guest on the Big S podcast. And you're amazing. What's the best way for our listeners to stay in touch with you?
I am my email, which is Heidi, Heidi, at, and then my business name, innovativepartyplanners.com.
Great.
And we have a website, same name, innovativepartyplanners.com. We're on Instagram and Twitter as Innovative Party. Direct
Okay.
messages through that I get all the time as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, you've been a joy to spend the last 45 minutes with. So thank you so much for your time
You as
and all the
well.
best to you and your business. And thank you for what you're doing to just continue to spread joy.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome. Have a good day.
Okay. Take
Okay,
care.
thanks.